Hi, my beautiful children of God. Welcome to Heart to Heart. Mm, I just wanted to talk to you guys. I know some of you wondering where I am. I'm in what I call my war room, which is actually my closet, but I turned it to my war room, so it's my closet slash war room. So this is it. So you can see where I do my daily praying and time with God. It's here. This is my, can you see it? I can't see. My little area I have, my love rug, my space, and my reading materials. I don't know if y'all can see it because I can't turn it around, but yeah, this is actually my war room slash closet. So, yeah, yeah, people. But anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that I do have my time with God. I spend my time here talking to Him, praying, and just building a relationship with Him. And the last few days here, since Friday, today is August the 7th, Monday. Since Friday, I have been coming in here since the first. Actually, I've been waking up at 6 in the morning, spending an hour with him. I have to be at work at 8, so I'll sit in here for an hour, talk to him, pray, listen to the Bible, just try to build my relationship and make a stronger relationship with God, because right now I'm on a path where I'm going to him and I'm just begging and asking him to reveal my purpose to me. So that's very important. And um, in a pursuit to learn my purpose, I I'm at that point where I'm going back reflecting on my life. And since Friday, I've made it all the way up to, when I was 16 years old. And I just going back in my mind, I sit here with my eyes closed and I just started from the very first memory I could remember having, my youngest memory. And I've just gone up and so I was 16 years old. And, of course, we can't remember every little thing that happens in our life. We just remember, like, some of the best things, our favorite times, dramatic things. And I, today was like when I made it to the 16th year, it was kind of hard because it was the first dramatic thing that had happened in my life that I can remember, a life changing situation. It was actually when my grandmother died, as I called her Granny. And I just, she died when I was 16, I'm 46. And it's still like hard for me to get over it. I think of her from the day she died every single day from the time I was 16 years old until this very day. She was the one who really introduced me to God. Uh, I, Me and my siblings, we went to church with her. I don't know even when it started. We would go to church with her almost every Sunday, and we would go to morning service and night service. She would take us home after the night service. We would spend the weekend with her, and summers with her. And she got sick, and I I just reflected on my life from my very earliest memory until then, um, and it was just like I had an epiphany, like a realization that I wasn't always a good daughter, a good sister, good cousin, a good friend to my family and people that I was around. And first off, I want to say I apologize for that, because when you look back on things and you try to come up with an answer as to like why you're at the point you are in your life, and I can't blame anybody or have any excuses, because ultimately I'm responsible for my own actions. But I do know that certain events and certain things that happened in my life led me to this point. And I can't so much say it started with the death of my granny, but I know it has to go on earlier than that, with me not having a father, which I never really thought it affected me, but I'm quite sure in some way. I haven't gotten to that yet, and looking back and looking over my life as to how that has affected me. But I can say with my granny, that that really affected me. I don't ever even really think that I mourned her dying, but I just thank God for putting her in my life and her introducing me to God. Um, she was like, to me, one of the most holiest people that I had ever known, and I really look up to her. She was a great example as a Christian to me. She's everything that I strive to be when I reach that age. Um, I just, her getting sick had, at that point, I had never had anyone close to me die. And I used to just always pray and pray, because she always taught me, whatever you pray for and if you believe it in your heart, God will answer your prayers. So when she became sick, I prayed that she would get well. So I just ignored it and blocked it, like what my mother was going through, my siblings, and I just carried on as if she wasn't sick. I tried to, because I just knew in my heart that she would get healed, because that's what I was praying for. And one day I was sitting with her. She stayed with us when she couldn't get around, and she needed someone to take care of her all day. And um, I was sitting in the room with her, and I was reading the Bible, and she just said out of nowhere um, that she was praying that she died. And I was conflicted, because I'm like, how is this going to work out? Because I knew I was praying that she get healed, and in my heart, I felt like she would get healed. But by her being in my mind and my heart closer to God, like, whose prayer is he going to answer? So when she died, I was so angry at God. I was so angry at God. I was 16, and when I went to her funeral, from that point on, I didn't step back in in the church. So I was like 19, and I can't even remembering praying during those years. But I can remember just not being a good daughter to my mom. That's what hurt the most. I didn't understand what she was going through by this being her mother. And now that we are so close, and I love, love, love my mother, I wasn't there for her. And that's what hurts me the most. I wasn't there for my siblings because I didn't know how to deal with that. And I was just being selfish. And in my walk with God, I've learned that you have to be selfless. You have to step outside of yourself. I was a kid. I really still think that I have not yet to mourn my granny's death. I just learned to deal with it. And I know me suppressing that, I wasn't a good friend. You know, I I just wasn't a good person. It wasn't that my intentions were bad. It was just that I just didn't know how to cope with things. But when I think about it, God kept me because I was saved. I can remember being young, like 5 or 6, getting saved. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I loved God and I was a Christian and that I believed in God and I believed in Jesus, that Jesus died for us. And I used to always say when I was little, but when I get 30, when I get 30, that's when I'm going to start acting like I'm saved when I get 30 because it just was like all your fun would be gone. But so many things happen in my life. And this is just really part one up to my 16 years, so I'm going to stick to that. God kept me. He kept me during that time. Um, I started having sex. I was promiscuous. I didn't want to kill myself, but I just didn't care if I lived after my granny died. I didn't care. In a way, I, I thought I loved myself, but when I look back on things, I couldn't have because there are so many things that I would have changed. I can't change them, but there are so many things that I would have changed that I'm not proud to say that I have done, but God kept me. He kept me because my granny introduced me to God, and He was there no matter how angry I got with Him. He was patient with me. There are so many things that could have happened to me, or I could have gotten into so much trouble that I would have gotten myself out of it. God just kept me. Even when I was angry and didn't love Him, He loved me. He loved me so much that He protected me from myself. In the first 16 years of my life, that foundation that my granny started us off on and I built from it, it's leading me to the person that I am today. And I just want to say, just even as a child, you go through a lot of things, but when you know God, you're going to fall back on that. So, with all that being said, is raise your children knowing God. I can't off top think of that verse, but raise your children up in the way that they should go. just teach your kids about God. Because I don't care how they go left, they're going to eventually come back right back to what you taught them, what is in their heart. So talk to your children about God. Don't be afraid to pray with them, to pray for them. My granny was a prayer warrior, and that's why from the day she died until this very day, I think of her every day, because even when I was mad at God and I didn't pray, that's what I could hear so vividly in my head, is the way she said her prayers. And now every night, every time I say my prayers, that's what gives me comfort and strength, is she saying them with me. I could hear her just as if it was yesterday, of her saying her prayers with me. And me and my mommy, we try to every morning say a prayer together and read the Bible. It's not every day, but we try to do it every day. It's several times a week. And that's what we should start doing more with our children, reading the Bible and talking to them about God. Because they're not going to learn about God on the street. They're not going to learn about God from their buddies unless they're hanging around with Christians. So these are the teenage years, and those to me are the hardest years of a person's life, because that's what's forming them, who they are going to be as an adult. And let's get more involved. I mean, even before they're a teenager, love your kids. My mommy loves us unconditionally. And even when I left home and I wanted to go stay with my auntie, I still talk to her almost every day. I just wanted to be grown and wanted to do what I wanted to do. I just couldn't face her. I couldn't look at her because I felt so bad after my granny died, that I wasn't there for her, that I wasn't the daughter that she needed. I couldn't be there with her. I couldn't look at her. I was so ashamed of myself. I was really just ashamed of myself. Like, I felt like I let her down. And I should have been there, because my family always looked at me as the strong and the bold one. And I just really felt like that I let all of them down. And my granny was a prayer warrior. My mommy was a prayer warrior. And she just constantly stayed in prayer for me. And now I stay in prayer for my family. And I just want you guys to just pray with your family, pray with your kids. We need to raise prayer warriors, because prayer changes things. Growing up, from the time kids could walk until they are teenagers, these are the most impressionable years of their lives. So we have to be the ones to set examples for these kids. Let's teach our children to pray and pray with them. I don't know, I just can't say that enough. Let's just pray with our children. I, those my first 16 years, I just love that my granny prayed with us and took us to church and talked about God to us. She constantly talked about God to us. And that's why I think that I am here today talking to you guys about God. So let's keep God in our conversations. Even if you're not talking to your kids just about anybody, just somehow weave God into a conversation. When I'm at work and I'm on the phone talking to these people, I just get so excited. I just get amazed because I come across so many Christians. And I just think we just need to start doing more with our children when it comes to God, and just being there for them and being sympathetic and empathetic, because we were once kids. And one thing, one act can be so dramatic to a child that it could change their life forever. And depending on what they've learned and what they're taught at home can be the difference on how they are as an adult. So let's just make a challenge of, let's start praying more with our children, praying for our children, and talking to God, talking to our children about God. So I love each and every one of you guys. I really do, and I do pray for each and every one of you that's in the group. It may not be by name, I pray for you as a whole, but I do pray for you. And I just want us to pray for each other as well. Prayer changes. So you guys have a blessed day, and don't forget to pray.